It was March 31st, 1922, when something truly horrific happened on a small, remote farm in Bavaria, Germany. Hinterkaifeck, a lonely homestead between the towns of Ingolstadt and Schrobenhausen, was home to the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber, 63, a strict, reclusive farmer. Cecilia Gruber, 72, his wife, quiet and reserved. Victoria Gabriel, 35, their widowed daughter. Cecilia Gabriel, 7, Victoria's daughter, curious and full of life. Joseph Gabriel, 2, the youngest, rumored to be the illegitimate child of Victoria and an unknown father. And on that cold March evening, 6 lives were taken in one of the most mysterious and gruesome murders in German history. Hinterkaifeck was isolated, surrounded by dense forests and miles of open farmland. The family kept to themselves, but in the weeks before the murders, unsettling things started happening. Andreas Gruber, known for his suspicion of outsiders, told neighbors he had found strange footprints in the snow, leading from the woods toward the house, but none leading away. The house keys vanished, only to reappear in strange places. At night, footsteps echoed from the attic, as if someone was living above them, watching their every move. And just days before the murders, the previous maid quit suddenly, claiming the house was haunted. But despite all these warnings, Andreas never reported anything to the police. That day, a new maid arrived, Maria Baumgartner. It was her first day on the job. Tragically, it would also be her last. As night fell over Hinterkaifeck, something unthinkable happened. One by one, the family members were lured into the barn, possibly by a sound or an unknown presence. And there they were slaughtered. Each was brutally struck in the skull with a mattock, a tool similar to a pickaxe. Andreas Gruber, his skull was smashed in, his bones shattered. Cecilia Gruber suffered the same fate. Victoria Gabriel, killed instantly. Little Cecilia, left alive for hours, pulling out her own hair in terror before succumbing. But the horror didn't end there. The killer then entered the farmhouse where he murdered Maria, the new maid, in her bedroom. Finally, the youngest victim, Joseph, just 2 years old, was killed in his crib, his skull crushed by the same weapon. And then, the killer didn't leave. Past. Neighbors grew worried. The Grubers hadn't been seen, and young Cecilia hadn't shown up for school. On April 4th, local farmer Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a man rumored to have a connection to Victoria and possibly Josef's father, gathered a search party. What they found inside the barn haunted them forever. Underneath freshly piled hay lay the 4 bodies, their faces frozen in terror. Inside the house, Maria and Josef's bodies were discovered. But something was deeply disturbing. It was clear the murderer hadn't left immediately. Instead, they stayed in the house for several days. The animals had been fed, the fireplace had been used, food had been eaten. Whoever committed this brutal crime lived among the corpses. Police arrived, but the crime scene was already compromised. Villagers had walked through the house, moved bodies, and even cooked meals in the kitchen. The autopsies revealed the gruesome details. Crushed skulls, blunt force trauma, multiple strikes. No signs of robbery, valuables and money remained untouched. The murder weapon? Never found. Investigators questioned over 100 suspects, including Lorenz Schlittenbauer, Victoria's rumored lover. His strange behavior at the crime scene made him suspicious, but there was no proof. Victoria's dead husband, Karl Gabriel, who was supposedly killed in World War I, but some believed he survived and returned for revenge. A wandering killer or vagrant, but who would stay after the murders? Every lead went cold. Over a century later, the case remains unsolved. Theories include a revenge killing. Did someone from Victoria's past come back for vengeance? A mentally ill drifter? But why live in the house after? A supernatural force? Many claim Hinterkaifeck was cursed, haunted by an evil presence. Despite advances in forensic science, no DNA, no fingerprints, and no solid evidence has ever identified the killer. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most terrifying unsolved crimes in history. In 1923, 1 year after the murders, the Hinterkaifeck farmhouse was demolished. But even today, the land where the farm once stood is avoided by locals. Some say on cold nights, whispers can still be heard in the wind. The footsteps in the attic, and the cries of young Cecilia, trapped in her final desperate moments. And this is the real Gruber family. The truth of what happened on that dark March night in 1922 may never be known. But the story of Hinterkaifeck lives on, a mystery that refuses to be forgotten.